Hey guys, I welcome you today from a little bit different perspective as you are used to. Well, it kind of brings me back to my very first videos back when I started to actually record the process of my drawings. So I think it were only the first two videos that I filmed from this angle with my phone camera. Gosh, I still remember that it was such a pain to record with my phone. So don't understand me wrong, it worked at the end and I can recommend it to you as an alternative option if you don't want to buy an expensive camera. So I personally always had the big issue that my phone hasn't enough storage space, and yeah, that was a bit of a problem. Oh, and before I forget about it, please just ignore my head that sometimes gets into the camera. I try to cut out most of the parts where it's visible, but there are still some moments where you can see it, so please just ignore that. And yeah, however, so why is a different perspective now? And no, my camera setup isn't broken or anything, but this was the only option for me to record this watercolor painting. Because yeah, on the left side you can see that the piece of paper that I'm drawing on is still attached to the drawing pad. And just because I didn't want to remove it from the pad, because of my personal preference to keep all my drawings in the original drawing pad if possible, I had to bring back my old camera setup, and yeah, it's simple as that. Well, yeah, not really, because the big problem here was that my drawing desk was just too small for this setup of my drawing pad, and then I had to move it to the edge of the desk, and then I couldn't record it with my usual camera setup and this and that, and yeah. But still, I wanted to record this drawing really badly, even if I couldn't use my usual setup for it. And that's because on the one hand I wanted to try out a different technique for my watercolor coloring, where I first add the watercolor over the sketch and then adding the outlines on top of that. And a little spoiler, yes, it really worked, and I think I finally found my favorite technique to use watercolor. So, on the other hand, and that is a pretty simple, though the main reason for it, I just adore this character. I don't know on how many of you clicked on this video and actually know him. So, I mean, you can already read it in the title, but yeah, it's Charlemagne from Fate Extella Link, and I absolutely can say that I found my favorite servant of the Fate franchise now. I already loved his design as I saw the trailer for the game, and now as I finally could get my hands on it, I'm a bit obsessed with him, so of course I had to draw him. And little fangirl moment over, but yeah, I also could have used my usual watercolor paper. So I also wanted to test out on how well watercolors work on my mixed media paper. By the way, another reason for this strange camera angle. And yeah, it's also really thick paper, so I still had to tape it to my desk because it isn't glued, and otherwise it would have become wavy because of all the water. I also wouldn't recommend to use unglued paper for drawings that need a lot of wet on wet technique and yeah, that many layers of watercolor. So it worked pretty well for this drawing in particular, because there aren't that many layers of color, and I also didn't blend it that much. This time I wanted to create more edges to get this special watercolor effect, if you know what I mean. Yeah, and as I already said, after I put down most of the watercolor layers, I added outlines to the drawing. I only put some real-time excerpts of that into the video because otherwise it would have become far too long, and I also like to mix up my videos a bit sometimes with some real-time and some upspeeded parts, so that you have a bit of both in it. But yeah, next video will be again from the usual camera perspective. So I hope that you also enjoyed it this way and give it a little thumbs up if you did. And that's all from my side, so then see you soon!